Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Live at Bird TV. So, obviously, the news regarding Jude Bellingham is clearly not what everybody wanted. But me being me at work today, I've dived in and out of obviously TalkSport for 2 or 3 hours, listening to Alex Crook, Sam Matterface, also, a Liverpool expert came on. After that, I then dived into Redmen TV, and I think it was Neil Jones, who's a reporter for Liverpool. I'm sure it was Neil Jones. He was absolutely unbelievable in his assessment of the Jude Bellingham situation. Now, I'm going to be really, really calm in this video for once in my life. I'm actually going to just discuss and go through the reasons why, yes, I wanted Jude Bellingham to sign. Yesterday, I put up a thing thinking it was going to happen. I think that was what was going around. You know, if Jan had a Fjordhoff had tweeted saying that Liverpool had tabled a bid, I thought it was a starting part of it. So I think I wasn't the only Liverpool fan yesterday that thought the wheels were in motion and something was happening. But as a Liverpool supporter that cares for the club, I want our owners to act in the best interests of Liverpool Football Club. Until they sell up and then somebody's got more money, I don't want them to put the club at risk. And if John Henry has said to Jurgen Klopp, you have £250 million this summer, that's yours. I would have given you 300 million, but we're not going to qualify for the Champions League. So you've got 250 million. The reason why, again, I've listened to all different various outlets today on social media, that I've not done what 25, 30, 40% of our fan base has done, which is fly off at the handle, say it's John Henry's fault, say it's FSG's fault, they're never going to do this, and I'm going to give you the reasons why I haven't done that. The first reason is we're not state-owned, right? The first reason is we're not state-owned. So we can't really go past, I'd say, 100 million max for a football player. 100 million. We're talking Jack Grealish at Man City kind of money. And that would probably be based on add-ons reaching it up to 100 million. That's just, you know, on the basis of common sense. PSG have not spent 130 million on a football player. Manchester City have not spent 130 million on a football player, right? So in what world do these fans live in that they think Liverpool can afford 130 million for one player? The second reason is, I was listening to the piece today on Redmen TV and the lad absolutely nailed it. He said Liverpool have had to have a massive rethink. Now, last summer they were talking to Jude Bellingham. They didn't expect the season to go as bad as it has. They didn't think that they would need as many as 5, 6, possibly 7 players the following summer. Maybe they were thinking, we'll be all right, we've just nearly done the quadruple. We'll probably bring in 2 players next summer. We'll bring in Jude Bellingham and we'll bring in, another centre-back. But the problem now we've got is we don't just need 2 players. We need a new right-back if Calvin Ramsey's not going to be fit. We need a new centre-back if Matip and Nat Phillips are going. We need maybe a backup striker for Bobby Firmino. We need 2, 3, possibly 4 midfielders. So the only reason why we're not going for Jude Bellingham isn't because we can't afford to spend 130 million on him. It's because we can't afford to spend 130 million on him and then buy 5 or 6 more. Because what is the point in putting 130 million pound of our 250 million pound budget, say for example, on one player, and then what happens if he goes and does an half a mellow? I'm not saying he's going to, but what if he goes and does an half a mellow? What if he goes and does a Luis Diaz and spends 5 months on the treatment table? We're going to have blown 130 million pound, which we can go and get 4 top players with. And I was actually thinking about this at work today, and I actually worked it out. Yuri Tillemans, you can get him on a free, so there's a midfielder body, get him in. Sofran Amrabat, you're looking at 35 to 42 million, right? Don't know why I said 42, I meant 40. And then you've got Mason Mount, 35 to 40 million. Then you've got Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich. They only want 30 million. So just for the Jude Bellingham fee, right, we could get Tillemans, Mount, Gravenberch, Matthias Nunes, Sofran Amrabat. I mean, you're talking 5 players here, and then we'd still have a bit of money left, 120 million, to go and get a top centre back or a right back. So I'm not just changing my tune because we're not going to sign him, because if you actually go back to my earlier videos a couple of months back, I was actually saying then that if I had the choice now over, I got a lot of stick for it. Can you remember when I said I would have took Nico Barella over Bellingham? And what I meant by that was, you know, it's Italian football at the moment, it's skin, and they need the money. So if you table a decent offer for Barella, he's coming our way. And he's a great number 8. He can score goals. He's got great assists. He was called the Italian Steven Gerrard. He wears the number 8. He could come in and wear the number 8 for Liverpool. I mean, we have got to do what is best for us next season. We cannot, and I mean we cannot, just think we're going to get by with Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham coming into our midfield is not enough. He'll be exposed because he's not got the protection around him, right? So, if you're going to bring in a Jude Bellingham, you need to bring in a Casado alongside him, or you need to bring in, you know, a Sofran Amrabat who'll just sit deep, because Firmino used to do that, but he doesn't do it anymore. So, when I was listening to Redmen TV today, the lad that was on there, he went, I think that Liverpool pulled the plug yesterday when they realised that if we do spend all of our money on Jude Bellingham, then we won't have enough to get in the squad depth and the other player positions we need. We just won't have enough. Now, if you're FSG out, right, what did I say? They will be back. They will back Jurgen this summer, right? And what you don't realise is you're all so quick to blame our owners for what? Spending less than a sheik. Because if he goes and spends £130 million now, then he's blowing money that Liverpool just don't have. We cannot put up the price of oil tomorrow morning. We cannot use shadow contracts to pay him 500, 600, 700,000 pound a week, because we can then hide a second contract in Dubai or Qatar and pay him more money. We can't do it because we are not funded by oil. We are not state or prince or Dubai or royal family or fucking Qatar funded. But the problem is with the FSG out people is that's what they want. They want Liverpool to be state owned so that they can just throw £130 million of money, go and get these players in and win the league, win everything. I don't want the club to be like that. I've always said I don't want Liverpool to be like that. I want Liverpool to be a standout giant of the club. And you know the reason why I love Jude Bellingham is because he's actually just come out in the last 48 hours saying that he will not join a PSG, a Man City or a Chelsea, because he calls them franchise, he calls them clubs with no history. He's looking at, and that's what I like about him, because that's what Liverpool are. So that's the reason why he's interested in joining Liverpool. All right, Craig, mate. But what I'm trying to say to you is what you don't understand. I mean, I was really proud of the Bayern Munich fans last night that had that banner in the away end calling out, you know, the ownerships modules of the Glazers and you know, the chairman of Manchester City, Sheikh Mansour. I can't remember the word they used, but they used them as some kind of word it was, where it describes somebody of power, somebody with all the power. Football clubs should be, you know, by the fans, and I love that, because you've got to remember I used to work for FC Liverpool as well, which is a club that was made for the Liverpool fans. So what does my head in is you have to stop throwing your teddies out the pram every time you don't get something you want. Every single comment I've read today on this group and on other groups, I think quite a lot of the Liverpool fans get it. I think a lot of the Liverpool fans are getting it. You cannot throw all your eggs in one basket. But now, this is going to surprise those people that haven't dived into social media today. Jurgen Klopp was part of the process yesterday that called off the Jude Bellingham transfer. He called it off. He's looked at it going, do you know what? I didn't expect Liverpool to be this bad this season. I didn't think we'd need... Oh, fucking hell, Andrew Robertson's 29. He's 30 next year, or 30 this year. Fucking hell, you've got Milner now 38. You've got Henderson 33. You've got Fabinho in his 30s. Firmino's leaving. So what I'm saying to you is, I think that Liverpool have re-evaluated it. People say, well, we've been chasing him for 2 years. Why didn't we get him last year? Well, maybe because Dortmund do not sell two players in the same fucking window. I've said that from minute one. That's the reason why when they let Erling Haaland go, Liverpool had to wait a year. But the difference is I don't think Klopp, Liverpool, FSG, Julian Ward, anybody expected the drop off with so many of our players. And the lad today on Redmen TV nailed it. Go on it and listen. Just look at the Jude Bellingham video today that Redmen did. He says Liverpool must have gone fuck. We were going to pay 130 million for Jude Bellingham, but the problem we've got now is we're going to have to pay 70 million for, say, I don't know, Gravenberch and Mount. That then leaves us with 50 million quid. We still need a right back. We still need a centre half. We're going to need cover for Bobby. You know, who knows who else might go in the summer. You just don't know who's going to be leaving this football club. So they've obviously looked at it, and somebody's come up to Klopp today and gone, look, Jurgen, we can do the Jude Bellingham deal for you. It's 130 million quid though. That's the minimum they are prepared to accept. 130 million pound. It's ridiculous. 130 million pound. When then the transfer committee then come up to Jurgen and go, right, you can have Bellingham for 130 million, right? Or you could have Yuri Tillemans, Gravenberch, Matheus Nunes, Nico Barella, and let's say what was the other one that we were linked to? There's a few in there. Nunes, Mount, Tillemans, Barella. There's 4 central midfielders. Oh yeah, and there's this centre half. I think that one that played in the World Cup for Croatia as well. He's actually a really big Liverpool fan. So Klopp's probably looked at it and gone, right, I've got 250 million quid here. Do I part with half of it almost for Bellingham and then pin my hopes on putting all that pressure on a 19-year-old boy? No disrespect, he's tearing up trees in the German league, but let's not get it twisted here. So did Naby Keita. Naby Keita tore up trees in the fucking German league, and look how shite he's been since he signed for us. I'm not saying Bellingham's the same type of player, but all I'm saying is, can Liverpool afford to spend 130 million of, say for example, a 200 million budget or a 250 million pound budget on one player? Now, the answer would have been yes if this season wasn't such a collapse of so many of our players. If, say for example, 1 or 2 players were finished, just say for example we say, all right, Keita and Fabinho, we could have then gone, we'll go and get Declan Rice and we'll go and get Jude Bellingham, 200 million done. But the problem we've got now is we don't just need 2 centre midfielders, we need possibly 3. Then we need a right back and we need probably a backup centre forward for Bobby Firmino. So you're looking at a centre back, 3 midfielders, central midfielders, a striker. So there's 5. A centre back, 3 central midfielders, and a centre forward, right, and a right back, 6. So can we get 6 top players if we're going to spend 130 million of our supposed 200 to 250 million pound budget? Other people will say, well, they're stingy bastards, why don't they give us 300 million? Because we fucking ain't got it. We haven't got it. We cannot put up the price of oil tomorrow. We cannot give away half of our tickets for free like Manchester City do. We can't doctor sponsorship deals and bring in our uncle's fucking business, eating ploughing 50 million pound of his own money and make it look like it's that company. Because let's not get it twisted here. Manchester United have been cheating. Manchester City have been cheating for God knows how long, 11, 12 years or whatever it is. We have to do it the right way. So let's not moan and have a go at our owners until that window shuts at the end of the summer, right? Because Liverpool are not going to stand still here, right? Somebody said today Klopp will walk now because Jude Bellingham is not coming. Klopp made the decision to not sign Jude Bellingham. It's just come out of Bild, which is a major newspaper in Germany, and one of the major journalists there knows Jurgen Klopp really well. And he said that Jurgen Klopp was part of the deal yesterday to shut down the deal for Jude Bellingham. Whether they're playing hardball with Dortmund saying, goodbye, we're not interested, we're not paying it. Maybe they're waiting for Jude Bellingham to go out and say, look, I want to go to Liverpool, and he falls through the transfer. Who knows? I'm not saying this deal is done yet, but all I'm saying is if it is £130 million, Liverpool cannot afford it. Manchester City have never spent £130 million on a player. They spent 100, but they're not spent 130 million. And that's with state ownership that's worth 32 billion quid. So where do these people in our fan base come from that we can just go bang 130 million in a season, right? In a season where we might not even get Europe, which is going to cost us 100 million in the red. So these fans want to put our club at risk by spending money we don't have on the basis of pinning our hopes onto a 19-year-old to walk into a midfield that's aging, and he's just going to transform it. I heard somebody say, well, when Van Dijk came in, he transformed it. When Alisson came in, he transformed. Yeah, but the players around him were all full of beans. All the players around them two players that we needed were full of beans. We have an ageing team. Andy Robertson's 30 this year. Fabinho's 30 odd. Salah's 30 odd. Van Dijk's 30 odd. Matip's 30 odd. Milner's 30 odd. I mean, we're going to need to sort of replace 6 or 7 players here. We can't do that if we spend 130 million on one player. So either Liverpool are playing a hardball by going, goodbye, we're not interested, we're not going to pay that, right? Or they're waiting for Jude to make a move where he goes, look, I want to go to Liverpool. He's already come out and made noise today that he will not sign for a state-owned club that are not got a proper history behind them, which is music to our ears. But all I'm saying is, before you get all your banners out, because by the way, I'm watching our owners with close eyes this summer as well. And don't you think I'm going to sit here and lick their arse like a lot of you think I do if we do not back Klopp significantly in this window? And by significantly, I don't mean £130 million on one player. I mean 200 million, right? 200 to 250 million has to be spent. And as Klopp said, it won't be enough for some fans, but they're just them fans. I am sitting here and I'm doing this video because people who say, oh, you change your tune now. Yeah, I changed my tune because I don't fucking work for FSG. I'm not sat in these negotiations. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just like yourselves. Do I think he's coming? Yeah. Do I think he's not coming? No. I mean, I went with my gut when it came to Thiago, when, you know, all the journalists were coming out saying, you know, he wasn't going to sign for us. So who knows, that twist might happen again. But all I'm saying is if it was you right now, and you got these 2 envelopes, say Klopp gets 2 envelopes, and he's got 200 million quid in these two envelopes, and you go, Jurgen, there you go. You can get Jude Bellingham 130 million and one more player, possibly 2 more players if you go and get them cheap with that envelope. Or with this envelope, this 200 million, we can get you 6 lads in, but not just 6, you know, bodies, 6 top players. Sofra and Amrabat 35-40 million, you know, Matthias Nunes 35-40 million, that's 70 million. Gravenbach 35 million, that's 105 million, right? So then you've still got you've still got 95 million left. Then you could go and get Tillemans on a free, there's another body in. Then you could go and get a right back, a centre back. So Klopp could be sitting here with 7 top players, because Tillemans is a top player. Get him on a free, get him on a free. Mason Mount's a top player. So if you're telling me, if I was playing Football Manager now, I'm going to do it as Football Manager, and I was wanting to redo Liverpool, and I looked at my transfer budget and it said 200 million, and I thought, hang about, and I went on to free agents like you do on Football Manager, and I seen Tillemans, boom, I'll get him in. I seen Mason Mount in the last year of his contract, boom, get him in, right? And I do that. Sofra and Amrabat, release clause 40 million, I'll have him, thanks. And I'm thinking to myself, look at all these tactical tweaks I can make to my formation now, because I can play Amrabat sitting deep, I can play Mason Mount in the attacking role, I can play Gravenberch each to the side of Matthias Nunes, and I've got all these options. And guess what else we've got? We've also got the fact that if one gets injured, like Diaz and like fucking Arthur Melo for 5 months, well, we've got these 4 or 5 other pieces. So you've got to give Klopp more pieces, not one big piece, because that one big piece, if he gets injured, or if he just, you know, I don't know, the pressure gets to him, it's all right strutting his stuff in the German league, but to come and be the main man at Liverpool at the age of 19 is a big deal. So all I'm saying to you is that this still might happen, but if you're asking me, what I've listened today on social media, the Liverpool fans that know their football know that this squad needs more than 2 players coming in. They need 4, 5, 6, possibly even 7, depending on exits, right? So If you look at it, 3 central midfielders needed, a centre forward, a centre back, a right back, and possibly a sub goalkeeper. Because if Kelleher goes, then I don't know who we're going to get, but we're going to need another goalie. So it is what it is. Jurgen Klopp pulled the plug on this Jude Bellingham deal. It's coming all out of Germany. Him, the committee, FSG, all went, no. We are not paying £130 million for a lad that's not even kicked a ball in the Premier League before. It's too risky. What are they learning from? They're learning from the fans that get on their back when they bring in Arthur Melo and he doesn't kick a football for 6 or 7 months. Right? They're learning from the fact we paid this £53 million for Naby Keita and he plays 60 games in 5 years. They're trying to not make mistakes in the transfer market. And what winds me up the most about some of our fans is they don't want Liverpool to go and find another Andy Robertson, a left back from Hull City for 7-8 million. They want us to go and get a left back from Real Madrid for 100 million. Because it's all about the money. It's not all about the money. It's about Liverpool being what they were for a good few years, which is strategically world class in the transfer market. And if you can bring in, like we did James Milner on a free, and do the same with a Yuri Tillemans, and do the same with a Mason Mount in the last year's contract, get him in and get a Declan Rice for 60-70 million, or a Graven Birch, who's the youngest player to ever play for Ajax, who beat Clarence Seedorf's record of 16 years old. I mean, we can go out and be world class. And you know what? Klopp's going to probably have spent the most money in this next window, but it still won't be enough for some of our fans. But you have to look at it about 2 of the most major things going for next season that are the most important for Liverpool Football Club. One is that we're financially stable, because we don't want to be going down the road. So look at Everton at the moment. Everton are a fucking mess. And do you know what Everton are a mess? Because their fans demanded players coming in for lump sums, massive amounts of money. Look how much money Chelsea Football Club has spent. They haven't even got the ability to have more than 1 shot on target against Wolves. They can't score goals, and they have spent 600 million, right? So we have to do what we do best, right? Which is look out and find the best. Luis Diaz, for example. I didn't really even hear of him until we signed him. He's one of those that went under the radar for me, right? 37 million we paid for him. So if you work that out in terms of the Jude Bellingham money, that's 30, 60, 90, 120. That's nearly 5 Luis Diaz's, or just say 4 if you bring down the average. We could buy 5 Luis Diaz's for the price of Jude Bellingham. Now do you see why it doesn't make sense? Liverpool need to be world class in the transfer market, not Todd Bowley erratic, right? Todd Bowley's now got to sell half of that team to get his money back, because he's fucked it with financial fair play, which, by the way, it said on TalkSport today, is tightening even more come this summer. You've got to be even more tighter with your finances. So all I'm saying is look at it as a support. Put your fucking FSG flag out away until the end of the transfer window, right? Because your campaign is all to do with us failing. And if you want us to fail, just so you can go, I told you so, then I don't know what kind of Liverpool fan you really are, because I would never want my team to fail, even if it meant me being wrong. Because I tell you something now, all I ever do is want what's best for this football club. And Jurgen Klopp wants the same, and so does John W. Henry, right? That's the reason why we need to sing from the same hymn sheet. If we have 200 million to spend, we can't throw 130 million of it on one player. Fact, suck it up, get over it. Simple as. All right, you might want some fucking Dubai royal family to come in, but then Liverpool just sell their soul to the Middle East. We don't need to do that. We've won the European Cup, the Super Cup, been in 3 Champions League finals, won the league, lost the league by a point twice, right? Nearly did the quadruple, and we did it without Middle Eastern state money, and we also did it with one of the best net spend probably in the Premier League. Why do we have to do Todd Bowley blowing money to be classed as being great owners? Great owners don't blow £600 million in 2 windows and finish 11th in the Premier League. Great owners run the club, build 2 stands, build a training ground, and make Liverpool one of the best football teams in the world, and do it without risking the club's future and security. And that is great ownership, and that's why I stick up for FSG, because I would rather have John Henry in charge of Liverpool than Todd Bowley. That's my opinion. There's a reason why he doesn't want to spend £130 million on one player, because it goes back to their ethos, their basis of the Moneyball thing that won them the baseball, and they used it in football and it worked with us. The Moneyball thing is getting Andy Robertson for £7 million when other people are going to get this player for 50, 60, or say for example Cucurella. Chelsea pays 60 million for Cucurella, we pay 7 million for Robertson. So what kind of transfer strategy do you want? Erratic Todd Bowley, let's get Cucurella for 60 million, or do you want strategic, look at his stats, look at his work rate and get a player for 7, 8 million? I know it'll be bigger than that this summer, but all I'm saying is people were envious of Liverpool's transfer strategy. They can still be envious of it again this summer, but we do not do it erratically or throwing money. The minute you pay £130 million for a footballer, right, it's football just done. It's getting chaotic. It's getting worse, right? It should be capped. It should cap fees now, but that's a different subject. If you're asking me now if we could get Ryan Gravenberch, Mason Mount, Tillemans, Matis Nunes, a right back, a goalkeeper for the 250 million, or we could get Bellingham and one other, possibly two, then I'm going for quality quantity, by the way, not just numbers, quality quantity that Klopp can do different formations with. You cannot put 60-70% of your transfer budget on one player that, by the way, isn't a robot, by the way, can get injured. And knowing our luck with injuries, and especially the way that Klopp wants his team to play, you do not put £130 million on one player. Now here's a classic example of why. We got Matip, Milner, Robertson, Mane, Firmino, Salah, and who was the other one? I think that's all of them. We got all them for less than what Jude Bellingham will cost. So I mean, Luis Diaz. Don't talk about it. That was a couple of years ago. Prices got. We got Luis Diaz last January for 37 million. There's players out there. Look at this kid that Man City have just got. That Alvarez. He cost 17 million. He looks absolutely fucking phenomenal. There is players out there. We don't need to spend 130 million. And all it is just showcase. I can put Bellingham in my FIFA team now, or I can get Bellingham on the back of my shirt. Great. If you ask me now, do I think Liverpool are going to be a success next season? I'm going to say categorically yes. And do I think we are going to be back winning trophies within the next year or two? Categorically yes. Why? Because we have the best transfer strategy in the league. We will not panic buy, and Klopp knows this. He said it earlier. We will do it our way. We'll go and get the players. It'll piss off some of our fans, but they'll just have to get over it. We will do it our way. Give me the time. Give me the tools. We will do this. So I will not get on our owners' backs, because they always take the brunt of it. And I seen one of my friends that's a season ticket holder. She says, it's about time Klopp hung these out to dry, because he never does. Do you know why he doesn't? Because Klopp makes the fucking decisions. It's Klopp that says, I want him. I'll wait a year, because Klopp knows he hasn't got the money like City to just throw money everywhere, so he'll wait for a target. Klopp would have waited for Bellingham for a year, not knowing his team would decline this fast, right? I said this the other day when we signed Cody Gakpo, and everybody said, well, why didn't we sign a midfielder? We needed a midfielder, not a striker. And they were giving John Henry and FSG the shit for it. Like John Henry sat in his Boston home now going, do you know what? I'm going to bring in a centre forward. Can't be arsed bringing in a centre midfielder. He has no part to play whatsoever in who we bring in for positions. That is Jurgen Klopp, Pep Lijnders, the transfer strategy. That is Liverpool's decision. He just writes the checks. You've got 40 million left. Klopp will go to him, I want Gakpo. Klopp could have said I wanted Matis Nunes, or even tried to bid for him then, but he didn't. All I'm saying is you cannot keep giving our ownership all the time when the decisions are being made as a collective sort of... I mean, Klopp's already said that he pulled the plug more or less. Well, the journalist has. So all I'm saying is we've got to wait for Liverpool to go again. I'm going to read out all the comments now anyway, and I hope that was a decent video for you. But all I'm saying is I don't look things... I'm not blinded by anything other than love for Liverpool Football Club. So with that, I always have to take a step back before I make an assessment. And I've took a step back now, and the pros and cons of getting Bellingham and not getting Bellingham, I think the pros are higher in the not getting him if it means we're going to bring in 5 or 6 top class players. And it has to be 5 or 6 top class players. And if you think about it, Gravenberch, Matheus Nunes, Tillemans on a free, a centre back, a right back, and then probably Mason Mount. That's 6 top class players. Then for me, Jude Bellingham and one other, it's just not going to be enough, especially if Jude Bellingham goes and gets injured like Luis Diaz does for 5 months, and then we are completely fucked. Because guess what? You think that the purse strings are going to be tight from FSG? They certainly will be from next season, because if we get seriously back, which they are going to do this summer, and Klopp doesn't do it, we're going to have no Champions League football, and they'll have to protect the club's financial security. So this has to be done right. This splurge of cash will bring us close to, enough's enough. But we have to get it right to win trophies, get back in the Champions League to then make that money go back up there again. That's the reason why we cannot panic and not pay state-funded prices. Anyway, McAllister and Brighton, I'm going to go through your comments now. So, evening, George Wilson, how you doing, mate? Hayes, how you doing? Craig Farragher, Bellingham wants a Liverpool move, but if we don't get him, that's not the end of the world. One player isn't bigger than the club, and if we can bring 3 or 4 decent signings in, it will outweigh Bellingham. But mate, I'm glad I just read that, because you just literally said everything I've just said in this video, and it is what it is. George Wilson Hayes, do you think Bellingham will stay at Dortmund for another year and then we'll get him? That's a possibility. Maybe if we did go and have an amazing season, got back in the Champions League, blah, 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 and then his price... I tell you what could happen with that one, George. He could sign a new contract with a minimum fee release clause in it of 100 million. So Dortmund get an extra year out of him, and they're guaranteed to get 100 million the following season. That could possibly, definitely happen, where they wait another year. The boy will still only be 21 when he signs for it. So yeah, that's a very good point there. Sam Edwards. Hi mate, how are you doing today? And I know mate, and I agree with you mate, cheers. Andrew Smith, think Kelleher will go. If the money comes in for Kelleher, he'll go. He'll want to play football. To keep an eye on Alisson at the moment, he's getting seriously frustrated, and that's a bit of a worry. Further down here, Les Coppite, if Bellingham wants to come to Liverpool, he could. I'll stay here for next season and sign when his contract is up and won't have anything to the summer yet. Les Coppite again, if we get 200 million to spend plus money from sales of players, Klopp will have a list of players who he wants and knows which will fit into his style of play. Absolutely. Ox, I think, was another one. Yeah, that's it, the Ox I meant, yeah. McAllister from Brighton. So, it is what it is. All I'm saying is, before you start, I just think our fan base needs to settle down a little bit. This transfer window's not even opened yet, and they're already saying that all we'll do next season is bring back Tyler Morton and play a Milner for another season. It's just ludicrous. Because basically what they're calling Jurgen Klopp a clown, because Jurgen Klopp has already come out and said that we know what we've got to do this summer. We know we need to significantly back and invest in this team. They've said it until they're blue in the face. And if you're still going to say, this is what's going to happen, we're going to give Milner another year and bring nobody in, doom and gloom. Honestly, you are the most depressing and negative part of our fan base that I absolutely despise. Because every other Liverpool fan knows what they want. They want Liverpool to get back to their best, but also wants it to be done the right way. And I don't want to be, can you imagine all the grief we'd get off Man City if we're throwing £130 million at one player, and that after all the years we give them for being fucking plastic and stay owned. But it is what it is. The way I look at it is, I trust in Jurgen Klopp. I trust in the transfer strategy that we've got, because it's brought us some of the best players that I've ever seen play for Liverpool. Your Bobby Firminos, your Sadio Mane's, your Virgil van Dijk's, Alisson Becker's, Andrew Robertson's. They've all come through by our world-class transfer strategy. So that's why my faith's in it. And also that little small detail of winning every trophy possible. You'll never walk alone.